What is the average, do you know the average temperature in a Minnesota winter?
I know it's pretty cold, but I wouldn't know
Well,
the
it's
number.
12 degrees, although some of my constituents saw temperatures as cold as 42 below last year. Mr. Secretary, how many states have an average winter temperature of below freezing? It's half the country. Does cold weather affect an EV's battery life? Yes or no?
Yes, it does.
How much can an EV battery life be reduced by cold weather?
Depends on the chemistry of the battery and the model that you're in, but it's a substantial percentage of the EV battery life.
50% or more. And how long does it take for frostbite to kick in if an individual is out in the cold? Let's say their EV has run out of battery on northbound 35 between Minneapolis and Duluth.
You know, I once got stuck on northbound 35.
About 30,
and I know it
about
doesn't
30
take very
minutes. It's about 30 minutes before frostbite. Mr. Secretary, do you know the average income household in the district that I represent? You probably don't, so I'll tell you. It's $69,000. Do you know what the average price of an EV vehicle is?
Sure, I pulled the latest numbers. The models are starting around $30,000 for sedans. They're getting into the 40s for.
According to Kelley Blue Book, the average price for electric cars was over $53,000.
Surely you're aware that they start closer to 30, right?
My constituents would have to work a full year to pay for this unreliable car and would barely have enough left over to care for their family. What is the average median income of a single individual EV buyer? It's $150,000.
As of when?
It's $150,000.
As of when? I'm just asking because that number is going down each passing year.
This month. This month. And how much of a taxpayer-funded subsidy is given to those high-income earners to purchase their EV?
As you may recall, the
You should
Inflation
know this.
Reduction Act was set in such a way that there was an income cap on how you could benefit from it, so that the wealthiest
$7,500.
people are not able to take advantage of that. But we do wish we had your
Mr.
support
Secretary,
in lowering the cost of
Mr.
EVs.
Secretary, would you agree it's $7,500?
Say again?
Would you agree it's $7,500?
$7,500 is the maximum credit that is eligible, and we think that making
For
EVs
the
cheaper
elites
for
to buy
working
their
families
luxury
to the
vehicle.
tune of
It's my-
$7,500
Mr.
is a good
Secretary,
move.
excuse me. Do you think that it's fair for your administration to force constituents to purchase these electric vehicles when they're not working, especially in northern Minnesota?
Well, the premise of the question is false because we're not forcing anybody to purchase any technology. Can you refer to any particular policy that forces anybody to purchase any vehicle?
By 2035, you want two-thirds of Americans to be using electric vehicles. They don't work in northern Minnesota in the cold weather today.
This is it, friends. Experts say that it's time to prepare financially for a possible government shutdown. Many sectors of the U.S. government will be affected. The Federal Reserve is also now planning to bring down inflation with a new plan so that a recession can be avoided this year. My dearest friends, I'll be going over what you need to know. So please make sure that you watch until the end of this video. Also, to say thank you for being part of this community. This Friday and every Friday, I will be announcing winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you would like to enter the weekly giveaway, friends, please click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you comment on, friends, the greater your chances of winning the giveaways. As the United States national debt passes $33 trillion and a government shutdown looms, Wall Street is starting to feel very anxious. A shutdown could sour sentiment and deal a blow to an economy already dealing with high gasoline prices, auto worker strikes, and elevated inflation, with some saying it could even increase the possibility of a recession. Fitch sent Congress a wake-up call after the debt limit fight earlier this summer. The credit rating agency downgraded U.S. sovereign debt in August, citing the nation's mounting debt and partisan brinkmanship as the major reasons behind its decision. The gross national debt has grown at an alarming pace since then, by $1 trillion in the last 3 months alone. Political finger-pointing around what caused the accelerated debt accrual has left the government at an impasse around the budget. The budget deficit, which is a difference between what the government spends and what it takes in, reached $1.5 trillion for the first 11 months of the fiscal year. That is an increase of 61% since last year. The recent increase in interest rates has already made it much more expensive for the government to pay back what it owes. And a shuttered government without a plan for how to pay down its debt would make this problem worse. One expert told reporters, as we have seen with recent growth in inflation and interest rates, the cost of debt can mount suddenly and rapidly. With more than $10 trillion of interest cost over the next decade, this compounding fiscal cycle will only continue to do damage to our kids and grandkids. Republicans say federal spending programs championed by the Biden administration are too expensive. And Democrats say GOP-backed tax cuts have squashed revenue. September 30th, 2023, marks the end of the fiscal year, and lawmakers will have to finalize a 2024 budget deal by October 1st to avoid a government shutdown. But not one of the 12 appropriation bills required to fund the government has passed through Congress, making it very unlikely that a plan will be passed by the deadline. The threat of a shutdown comes as the United States economy is already feeling the pressure of high inflation, interest rate hikes, and a high deficit, renewed student debt payments, rising energy prices, and rising gasoline prices. So each of those things, experts say, weighs in on housing, consumer finances, and government financing expenses, in adding to recession risks during the closing months of this year. A government shutdown would stop most government agency activities and services, and also require non-essential government personnel to take unpaid leave. Analysts estimate that there are about 800,000 non-emergency federal workers with an average salary of $95,000 each. The extent of the damage comes down to how long a potential shutdown will last. Each week of a government shutdown would cost the U.S. economy $6 billion and shave the GDP growth by 0.1 percentage points in the fourth quarter of 2023. Government shutdowns over the past 30 years have lasted between a few days and over 1 month. The Federal Reserve is expected to hold its benchmark lending rate steady as it waits for more data to understand how previous rate hikes are affecting the U.S. economy. The central bank raised rates to a 22-year high in July. At the conclusion of its 2-day policy meeting this week, the Fed is also set to release a fresh set of economic projections that will likely reflect stronger economic growth and slightly lower unemployment this year. Officials' new economic projections will likely show at least one more rate hike later this year. There also seems to be a consensus among Fed officials that holding rates steady this month is the right move. But some policymakers have said the Fed could raise rates once again after September. So, dear friends, do you think the Fed will raise rates this month? Please let me know what your thoughts are in the comments section below. Well, my magnificent and most marvelous friends, that is the end of my daily stimulus update video for today. My dear friends, thank you so very much for joining me here every day and for being part of this community. To say thank you and to show my appreciation, every Friday I will be announcing several winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you would like to enter the weekly giveaway, friends, please click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you comment on, friends, the greater your chances of winning the giveaways. Thank you and have a wonderful and very blessed week.